background is theatre, so my background is like physical theatre, directing and writing, and then I sort of went into dance and movement thereafter because I was so like drawn to movement and physical theatre in my undergrad and really wanted to develop that more. So I took some time, like after finishing my undergrad, to just kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And luckily at the time, so going back to the farm experience, I got to do an internship with a company called the Forgotten Angle Theatre Collaborative, and got to sort of train more in contemporary dance and movement and a bit of Afrofusion as well, and also working with facilitation in those spaces. And that, I think, was like a bit of a catalyst for me to really prioritize movement in my practice. So having done the MA, which was creative practice dance at Laban, now I feel like my practice has become a bit of a hybrid, and it's definitely driven by movement, it's driven by an interdisciplinary approach, it's driven by writing as well, and a connection to community and of course ancestral wisdom and that sense of intuition that comes a lot from my spiritual practice, which is guided by Kundalini Yoga, because I'm also a Kundalini Yoga teacher. I can't imagine an embodied practice or a movement practice that doesn't acknowledge a spiritual aspect to it. So I was just saying that this workshop idea or this research came a lot from me trying to connect to my own sense of intuition and what that meant for me in lockdown as well, where like everything was stripped back and like I just felt like I needed to distill from like the noise and like really listen to my own voice, that would allow me to make whatever decisions I needed to make at the time. And I also realized through Kundalini Yoga that does acknowledge a specific lineage. I realized that for me, my sense of intuition does come from a connection to ancestry. It's called Stepping in Situ, and it is an offering to participants, to people, to acknowledge a sense of ancestral wisdom within themselves, acknowledge a sense of ancestral connection that's able to guide them in their everyday lives. I became quite fascinated with how we're able to access ancestral wisdom through the body, even if we maybe haven't experienced very specific embodied practices related to our heritage or our culture. And I wanted to explore and would like to continue exploring a practice that uses my found connection with the pelvis to ancestral wisdom and the feet and that ability to ground ourselves through the pelvis, through the feet, and feel rooted, and through that whole experience of rhythm and pelvis and feet and sound and collective moving and being together in space, find ways of finding validation and self-trust, essentially. I love movement and I love dancing, and yet I constantly have this like conflict within myself about feeling like I can't call myself a dancer, or like there are specific terms that I don't feel like I can call myself because of my background. And I think that ability within movement to make me feel really comfortable and at home is something that I love, and something that I, regardless of your background, regardless of your, I know it's really cliche, but like regardless of your level of fitness or your body, like just being in a space, whether you're alone, whether you're with other people, listening to music, listening to whatever sound is present in the space, like even if it's just like a bird or like someone typing away, like there's potential to like allow that resonance to move through your body and allow you to just be present with yourself in that. And that's why I love movement. stepping in situ is an offering to people to come into the space with me and to move with me. I would like to offer people some prompts, some guided structures that are around the pelvis, around a connection to feet and rhythm within the feet that comes from some adaptations of the Namastap embodied practice, which is a embodied practice that comes from a rite of passage related to my parts of my node lineage. So the workshop really is about people coming into the space, responding to some movement structures, movement scores around the pelvis, around feet, that acknowledge the pelvis as a site for ancestral wisdom and connections to ancestral wisdom. So there'll definitely be time to reflect through writing as well, which is part of my practice, and really working with that sense of collective heat, collective rhythm, and also potentially finding moments of making that is informed by this vocabulary that we will explore together, by these prompts, by this sense of rhythm that can author new ways for people to connect to their own sense of ancestral wisdom.